Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. We're going to continue our exploration journey in unpacking one more Chinese expressions a day. Yesterday, we talked about a contemporary gaming title. It's a commercial gaming, probably successful because even I, non-gamer, heard about it. It's called 王者荣耀, Honor of Kings. So it's a battling between the kings. Today we continue with 容 in 荣枯谢. Okay, so now you see three character expressions, and by that is almost enough telltale sign to show this is not a classical Chinese expression because those are mostly four characters. But 荣枯谢 was often, at least it's used in media a lot these days because economy was, still is, have been a big topic recently, especially after the disruption from COVID, right? So both US and China talk about whether the economy is in a recession or is actually expanding, is on the media on both sides. So 荣枯谢 actually was a Chinese expression to determine the trend of the economy, whether it's expanding or it's contraction. It's contracting. So 荣 is this flourishing, this expanding phase, and the ku is contracting, this weathering phase. And both of them, you see the tree symbols in here, tree symbol, tree. That means we're using the growth of the tree, a natural, a plant, to signify economy. So Chinese often, as well as the English as well, right? So we want to compare A to B because describing B directly is not easy, but A we're more familiar. We can visualize that easier. So Chinese use the tree growth phase, either is expanding, flourishing, or withering. Okay. And 谢, that means there's a determiner, like there is a mathematically calculatable or verifiable line. If you cross this line, that means it's a contracting, or like either direction it's binary result. Okay, either growing or dying, basically. Okay, growing, we have the tree over here. So first off, tree symbol. Again, we came across this symbol so much because Chinese is an agrarian society. So that means we use a lot of agriculture, a lot of plant-based symbols in the language. And definitely this language was created before the industrial age, right? So it's agriculture society. What do you expect? So agriculture is the main subject, the language we use to talk about, right? So the tree symbol was created to distinguish the two basic types of plants. One is with a tree trunk. The other one is, shorter, flatter, less outstanding, the kind of shrubs or grass, right? The low-hanging plant versus a tall growing plant. So to signify that, Chinese use this upward turning arch. This is convex, right? Convex shape in a mathematical term. There's convex and concave, and convex facing upward, connected with the vertical line. So vertical line is a tree trunk. And this, when it's convex paired, that's the tree canopy. Trees mostly, the leaves are growing, pointing upward, right? Because the tree leaves kind of, for them to do this photosynthesis, I don't even know if I nailed the expression, but to convert the solar energy, the light, into energy used by the tree, right? That process, the leaves need to kind of best optimized to face the sun. So that's the leafy part of it. And the bottom, what distinguishes the tree from the other types of plant is this tall standing tree trunk. So I'm viewing the bottom arch facing this way as like a big arch as a spacer to show you that there is a big distance from the canopy to the ground level. Of course, the ground level was not visualized over here. Okay, but That's the tree. You see tree on both symbols, so both of them are somewhat related to tree. Two faces, or it's not good. Okay, let's go into this. The tree is embedded inside this big arch. This big arch, you can view it as the walls to protect the fortress. So ancient fortress basically is ancient cities. It's a cluster of people that they have to construct walls to protect the population inside, right? Because apparently they're not really agriculture-based population. They may be business, traders, traders back then, now today's stock traders, but traveling merchants, or craftsmen, right? Who doesn't rely on living close to the food source in a direct way. So they can cluster to form such towns, and the towns may need such protection from the potentially invaders of all sorts. So this is a structure to protect what's inside, right? And then the two fire symbol. The fire symbol basically is a human figure, two-legged human figure, with two sparkles on the side. So I view this cone shape as here is not a human, apparently. Here is the main body of the fire. So it's kind of like a bonfire, the main body, the main burning portion of the fire here, but also with the sparkles, that's kind of a disconnected. That's also a phenomenon of how the fire, when it's burning, how it looks like. That's a super abstraction of the fire, burning fire image. I mean, of course it's burning fire, otherwise it's not a fire anymore. Okay, so two of them means a lot of them. So ancient times, people use fire as the light source. Do we use fire as a light source? No, we have electricity. It's a fire it's not a fire anymore. Okay, so ancient city lighting. So multitudes of fire symbols means they are kind of a bright, they are well lit. So we can kind of imagine a contrast between the countryside and the city. So countryside, after sunset, it's dark, it's no lit, and you're on your own, basically. And the city with the wall, right, with a cluster of a relatively diverse, non-farmland land bound population with their specialties, right? So this group of people, they probably need some nightlife. So the need to light up the city along the streets probably was needed. So this tree now occur within this fortress. So that's the type of tree that's going to, that's commonly used to line up the city streets back then. I guess we can kind of imagine some big canopy trees that provides a lot of shade and it's good to look, and all kinds of conditions and criteria to select what kind of trees is the best to use inside the city to provide a shade. And this big canopy is one of them. So such big canopy tree, you can imagine as an oak tree or sycamore tree that provides a lot of shade. And because they have big canopies, that means they are vibrant, they are flourishing. They are like impactful trees that provides a lot of shade. So, I mean, within the treehood, there are different ranks, right? There are different specialties of the trees. So some trees are good for log and all that. So these are good for the canopies. And if they have a big canopy span in space, that means the tree is well developed. They are flourishing. They have big shades. So that's 榕, what it's about, is flourishing. Big canopy tree. Okay. Cool. Okay. Besides the tree symbol, that means we're talking about a tree here. The right side sounds like 鼓, so it serves as the sound maker as well as the meaning maker. The reason why it's meaning maker because now we have 古 means ancient. Chinese define the concept of ancient by this number 10, which is a cross, nothing to do with crucifixion, okay, and the mouse symbol at the bottom. So 10 mouse. Here is why. 10 first is a roping. before we have a computer to store information, right? It's bookkeeping. But before bookkeeping, we have to have some sort of records. So imagine one borrowed money from another. A small amount you can sort of memorize, but when it comes to 10, people start to use roping. String of rope, tie a knot to signify that's 10. And then beyond the 10, you can count again. And when it's reached 10, you can tie another knot. That's how bookkeeping was done in the past. So the horizontal line eventually is kind of an indicator to mean, oh, there is a knot over there. That's the roping, like tie a knot to signify number 10. So this horizontal line simply to signify there is a number 10 over there. Okay, so number 10, mouth symbolize people. So it's interesting because in English, we use head count, right? Head count. In Chinese, we don't really say head count. We don't count head. We actually count mouths. How many mouths? So I guess how many mouths in ancient Chinese, mouths signifies you need to feed them, right? So first, they are consumers. You have to produce enough food for them. That's important for head counting. And second is also like the mouth symbol, because they also like someone who has the function to talk, to speak out their minds. I don't know, probably to various degrees through history. So the mouth symbol also as a speaker, as somebody who talk. But in this case, 10 mouth means 10 generations of mouths passing down their knowledge verbally. This is even like before bookkeeping, before written form. So how you're going to pass your generational information to the next, to the younger generation, is by verbal. So storytelling, or just verbally tell like how to farm or how to do this, how to do that, right? Before YouTube, that you can easily access information, that verbal passing of knowledge across generations. So this 10 mouths means 10 generations of such verbal knowledge existing. And that 10 generation is enough to show that something is ancient, is old enough, that it's after 10 generations of knowledge passing through verbal storytelling. Okay, so this ancient concept paired with tree, that means that tree is at least ancient enough to watch 10 generations of information passing between humans, or the tree itself is, well, I guess tree as a witness or environment for humans, they exist long enough. So this means some ancient trees. And actually, okay, so just by the surface, it look like, okay, old timer tree, old tree, right? And old tree comes to this wither. It's logical deduction, right? Because it's old, the tree naturally tend to wither. But when I check it out, in ancient concept of this ancient tree, actually it doesn't necessarily mean it's dying tree, because even after 10 generations of human lifespan, it seems like a long time, but for trees, they can have a much, much longer, like thousands of years of lifespan for trees. That's possible. So 10 generations simply mean that tree is already growing pretty, like to its maturity. It's not dying, actually. It means it's growing tall. It's a big adult tree. That's the original meaning. It basically means adult tree. But eventually, this meaning people understand, people may take things literally just by looking at it. So 10 generations of tree, in probably a lot of people's minds, thought that means it's ancient tree. That means it's a dying tree. So that become more connected to the dying concept instead of the adulting tree concept. Okay, so tree Now, because we are the inheritor of the language after generations of misunderstanding of this concept, so we inherit this misunderstanding. Now, contemporary Chinese, it means wither. It means a dying tree after 10 generations of human lifespan. Okay. 线. We have the left side means something related to fabric because the two knots connected with one big long strand. It's some in clothing making or in fabric making. So we started from thread, right? And this is you can view this as a spool of thread, and somehow they're connected. And then here the concave shape connected there to show something is drapey, almost the fabric quality. That's gravity toward the ground, right? So that's the drapey shape of the fabric. So the whole thing means something related to fabric. And then the right side are two weapons stacked up together. Okay, the weaponry, it's a little bit hard to imagine because we don't, at least me, I don't find a corresponding weaponry to this. I remember in many episodes ago, I showed weaponry how that looks. But just by the look, we take it at a surface value, there are a lot of spikes, spooky things over there. So in my understanding, it's ancient times, peaceful time, you use that as a farming tool because in farming, we do have like a plowing, raking. So the sharp edges are used in farming activity. In wartime, that can easily be converted into a weaponry. So there is this conversion, this versatility of the tools applications, like multiple applications. So this is a type of weaponry that came from farm tool. And we have two of them stacked up together. That probably means one farm hand, they are able to operate two of them in each hand at the same time. And this tool was said to be, according to some scholars, this type of tool was short vertically. So there are two of them stacked up. That's enough to kind of match up to like a longer, like a spear, that kind of long staffed tool. This one is a short, more close, compact used weapon. So this two of them stack up together to further emphasize they are kind of the short weaponry that is enough to hold in both hands together. So this shortness plus the fabric symbol means it's a line. That means it's not some complicated fabric formation in the later stage of fabric. So fabric starts from fibers, right? Fibers from nature, and then they spooled into thread. So that's the stage it is in. It's still a shallow stage in the journey of how something from nature is converted into fabric. So thread is this fiber thread yarn, right? And then you weave them, and then you cut and sew them, garment. At least the 5 stages of that. I know that because I used to take fabric construction class. So this 线 is the, besides fiber is its natural stage. Of course, it's from farmland. You have to process it so that the fiber are clean enough to be used to for garment production. So the fiber was probably the first stage, fiber processing as well, and then the thread is the second stage. So this 浅, on the right, it sounds like 浅. Now it's a sound maker as well. That means a shallow stage of the fabric. So that's the second step for fabric formation. That's thread making. So this becomes a thread, and eventually the thread, the thin line, used as an abstract term of a line of something. So we have 荣枯线, simply is the midpoint between. You can almost view it as inflection point, right? So if it's a big arch, like in a Euclidean space, a big arch, and then this side of the arch is growing. That's 荣, right? And then there's an inflection point. That's the non-growing derivative equal to 0, slope equal to 0 stage. And then you have this falling stage. And this middle point where the slope equals to 0 is this line. Okay, so that's Chinese way to say it's either growing or it's withering, it's contracting. And I'm just using this, like nobody wants to read this, but basically it's saying 50% is this midline. I don't know why they use 50% now, but that's a Chinese metric to measure the economy trend. Either it's growing or it's withering. So that's, I call it a confidence level, because this is not exactly, this is like after a survey sent out to purchase managers. We call it a Purchase Manager Index, PMI. And this is a concept related to this metric, that if the purchase managers are confident the economy is going well, they're going to stock up and they're going to purchase more, right? So if it's purchasing more by the purchase managers, because they are the forerunners of the consumption and they're the production end. So if the purchase managers are buying more, that means economy, at least their confidence level is high, that it's going to grow, so that therefore they purchase more. So for that, to tell them, to survey them, then we can have a sense of the pulse of the economy, like a leading indicator. Okay, so that's 荣枯线. Hash into the currency of thinking about one. What a day we saw. See you another day.